golden child brother got my fiancée pregnant, so my family abandoned me. After 5 years of no contact, he's in a coma, and my mother demanded I step up as a replacement father for his child. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. 5 years ago, just a month before I, now 30, was supposed to get married to my fiancée, I found out that she had been having an affair with my brother. The only reason they even came clean to me about it was because she was pregnant and wanted to keep the baby. My ex-fiancée, Karen, 30F, and my brother Chris, 33M, had apparently been sleeping together ever since Karen and I got engaged. Karen and I had been together since our junior year of high school and stayed together through college, so getting engaged was obviously the next step. But after we got engaged, my brother confessed to her that he had always had feelings for her. He said he felt like he had to tell her before she got married, and after that, he wouldn't be able to say anything. She then suddenly had the realization that she had also been catching feelings for him gradually. Apparently, they would even flirt behind my back occasionally at family events, but she wasn't sure about him, which is why she stayed with me. I found out all these things 5 years ago, just a few months before our wedding, when the two of them sat me down along with my parents and told me that they were planning on getting together. Karen said she could no longer marry me because she was in love with Chris and was having his baby. I was devastated and almost refused to believe it. I told Karen that I wanted her to come home with me and end this relationship, whatever it was, with Chris. But my mother made it very clear that nothing of the sort was going to happen. She said Chris and Karen were going to be together, and I just had to make my peace with it, because it was ultimately their decision. I couldn't even believe my mother was supporting something like this. At least my dad had the decency to look ashamed and tried to comfort me, but my mother blatantly supported the affair and even told me that if I had a problem with it, I should keep it to myself. Karen was pregnant and in a delicate condition, so I had no right to bother her. My mother was just obsessed with finally having a grandchild in the family and could hardly care about what I was going through. She fought with me tooth and nail to justify what was going on. After that confrontation, Karen moved in with my family because her own parents didn't want to speak to her anymore after she told them the truth. We had to cancel the wedding, and my parents covered the cost, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I was cast out from the family because I refused to speak to them. For the past 5 years, we've had absolutely zero contact. The only person who ever tried to reach out to me was my father, but I didn't want to speak to him either, so there's been radio silence ever since. It took me a really long time to get over what happened. Karen and I had been together for a long time, and I had truly loved her. It took a lot of therapy to move on. Even now, I wouldn't say I'm fully over it, but I'm dealing with it. My extended family kept in touch with me, and I did find out from them that Karen had a son with my brother. A month after she gave birth, a paternity test confirmed that the baby was indeed my brother's, so there was no need to contact me about anything. They ended up getting married and have been together for the past 5 years. I assumed everything was going well for them, until about a week ago, when my mother called me out of the blue. It took me by surprise because she had been the biggest supporter of Karen and Chris's relationship. Just out of curiosity, I decided to call her back after she emailed me saying she needed to speak urgently. When I called, she was crying and told me that my brother had been in a really bad accident, a hit and run. Because of the impact, he had slipped into a coma, and there was no telling how long it would take for him to recover. This happened just last week, and 3 days after the doctors said things were critical, my mother decided to call me. At first, I thought she wanted me to visit him and be there for the family, which I would have been ready to do. Despite everything, I still thought that would be a reasonable request. But then my mother went in a completely different direction. She told me that she expected me to be there for Karen and my nephew. I didn't even understand what she meant, so I asked her to elaborate. She told me that now that Chris was basically not there anymore, I had to step up and be there for Karen and her child in every way, emotionally, financially, and even physically. She actually expected me to move in with them and take care of them. She said she would have taken them in herself, but she wasn't getting any younger, and it would be too much work. That's why she was calling me, to let me know, and to get an answer right then on the phone. I obviously lost my temper. For 5 years, she hadn't spoken to me, and now that she was finally talking to me, she expected something so huge. I could understand that Karen and her son needed someone, but that someone should be from their immediate family, not me. Someone they had betrayed and never even apologized to. I immediately told my mother that I wasn't going to do any such thing, and that she was foolish for even expecting it. She started arguing with me, but I didn't have the time or energy for it. I was already pissed off and didn't want to ruin my mood more, so I just hung up and blocked her again. I tried to go about my day, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Chris and Karen were going through. I felt bad for them, but I obviously wasn't going to do what my mother had asked. It was just weird. Chris wasn't dead, he was in a coma. She was acting like he was gone. I felt very conflicted about the entire situation, so later that day I called my father. It was awkward after 5 years of no contact, but after some small talk, I asked him how Chris was doing. He said things weren't looking good. Then I told him about my conversation with my mother and expected him to be more reasonable. But even he said my mother was right to expect that from me. That really shocked me, because my dad was usually the more level-headed one. I asked him if he really meant it, and he said yes. He said that Karen and I had a history, and I was still family. No matter how bad our relationship had been, I was blood, and they needed someone to step up. According to him, my mother's expectations weren't unreasonable. That really threw me. Right now, I honestly don't know what to do. For the past week, I've been avoiding everyone in my family, even my other relatives, because I'm afraid someone will bring this up and I'll have to explain myself. I feel like the bad guy because I'm refusing to help my family. I know they need me, if not financially, then emotionally, but I just have no idea what to do. I know what my mother is asking is weird and unreasonable, but at the same time, I feel bad for rejecting her outright. I haven't even gone down to the hospital to see my brother because I just feel weird about the whole thing. I haven't been able to talk to any of my friends about this either. It's just too personal. They all know how things were after the wedding got called off, but this is something else entirely. That's why I'm posting this here on Reddit. I really need some objective opinions. My friends and family will all have biased takes. I feel like I'm going to lose my mind if I don't find an acceptable solution soon. I feel like I'm going back to that phase where I was constantly thinking about Karen and Chris right after the breakup. It was a dark time, and I don't want to go back there. It took a lot to crawl out of that, so please, whatever anyone has to say, no matter how harsh, just tell me. Update 1. Hey guys, so I decided not to go see my family for the time being. It's really too much for me right now. I didn't even realize how bad my anxiety had become over the last week, just because of the things my parents were saying. I'm back on my anti-anxiety meds and trying to cope. A lot of people have showered me with love and support in the comments of my original post, and even reached out personally to say that I'm not alone. I'm supremely grateful for that. Thank you so much. I've also spoken to a couple of close friends and confided in them about what's going on. I don't think I can deal with all this on my own. They told me I can talk to them anytime to get it off my chest. They also told me that not going to meet my family right now is the right decision. At this moment, it's the best thing I can do for myself. I need to put myself first, because that's exactly what my family did for themselves all these years. Truthfully, I don't think I need to be there for them emotionally either. They have each other. They can deal with this on their own. I was the one who had nobody from my immediate family after the wedding was canceled. I was the one cheated on, betrayed, and cast out. My parents picked my brother over me, even though he was the one in the wrong. But that's all in the past. I'm trying to move on, and I won't be able to do that successfully if I go back to them again. So I've blocked them all. Once again, I'm going to stick to my decision of not having any contact with them. I'm really sorry about what happened to my brother, and I really hope that he recovers soon, because no matter what he has done, I cannot be the person who wishes anything bad to happen to anybody. I hope things work out for them, but I'm out of here. I'm just going to focus on my own mental health now, and I'm considering going back to therapy because of the way I dealt with this and the way that the things my parents said got under my skin. I really think that I need to speak to a professional because I don't think I'm dealing with all of this as well as I thought I was, and all those old feelings are coming back to the surface yet again, so I'm just going to look out for myself now. Update 2. I heard from a couple of relatives that my brother's condition is still pretty critical and is not showing any signs of improvement. It has been almost 2 weeks and he is still in the hospital. Things are really bad for the family and I feel sorry for them, but there's nothing much that I can do. Everybody who knows my family has dropped by the hospital to see my brother at least once in the past 2 weeks and offered their condolences for the terrible accident that has taken place. Apart from me, I would have done that. But then I also got to know from my relatives that my parents have been talking crap about me to anybody who has been visiting them and have been making me out to seem like the bad guy. They are apparently telling everybody that they had asked me to come visit them and be there for the family, but I had refused and accused me of saying things like this was karma for screwing me over 5 years back and that my brother deserved this. For the record, I obviously did not say anything of the sort. Some of them contacted me to confirm if this was true or not, because it did not seem like something I would say, since I'm generally a nice person to everyone. When they asked me about it, I obviously told them that I did not say these things, and my parents were making it up to make it sound like I was being a terrible person, probably to get a reaction out of me. Or maybe just because that's the kind of people my parents are. I was just really disappointed that they were saying such things about me and making up stories just to portray me as the bad guy, especially after already having screwed up my life once. I'm just lucky that my relatives asked me about it, because if they had just chosen to believe my parents, then I don't think anybody in the family would have been speaking to me at this point either. For the past 5 years, I had not spoken to my parents, but the rest of my family, my aunts and uncles, and of course my cousins, had all been there for me. I really did not want to lose that, and I guess my parents could not stand it, so they decided to try and screw that up for me as well. I just don't understand why they hate me so much. I've literally never done anything to them. My brother and I have never been particularly close, and my parents have always had a soft spot for him right from our childhood. But this seems unnecessary and excessive. Update 3, hi. So I posted an update 2 days ago, and today my mother decided to reach out to me yet again. I had blocked them everywhere, so she had no option but to pay me a visit in order to talk to me. When I came back home from work, she was already there waiting for me to come back. I honestly didn't even feel like talking to her because I was just so exhausted from work already. I almost decided that I was going to get back into the car, but then she spotted me and I had to go and speak to her. I did not have any intention of letting her into my house because then it would be very hard to get rid of her. So I decided to talk to her in the front yard, which proved to be pretty bad for me since eventually she just started yelling at me, and that attracted the attention of the neighbors as well. The conversation started normally enough. She just made some small talk with me, and I had to answer her politely. But then I couldn't help myself, and I ended up asking her why she had been telling people made-up crap about me just to portray me as the bad guy. I told her that it was not fair to me because I had never wished anything bad to happen to my family, even after they had treated me like this, and I honestly just wanted to move on with my life. But they were making even that really hard for me. I had been keeping these feelings to myself for a really long time, so when I saw her, it just came out of me and I couldn't help myself. In the end, I just told her that after everything that had happened, it was very difficult for me to think of them as family because they had never treated me like that, and I was very disappointed by their behavior. So whatever it is that she had come to talk to me about, it could be done later, because I had just come back home from work, and I was really not in the mood to fight or talk to anybody about anything that was too emotionally exhausting. She had been hearing me out calmly up until that point, but when I told her that I did not want to speak to her at that moment, she got really pissed and said she was just here to apologize for the very same things that I had mentioned. She said that she and my father hadn't been thinking straight. They had been pretty pissed off by my response initially because I had refused to step up for my family and even visit my brother while he was in the hospital. But then, they had realized that they hadn't exactly treated me well in the past 5 years, and that I was obviously very upset about that, even now, and that's why I was not visiting. She had come here to talk to me and try to sort things out between us, because she felt that at this time, the family should stick together just for the sake of emotional stability. But after I had told her that I did not want to speak to her, she changed her mind and decided that she was going to yell at me instead. She told me that, apparently, I should just be grateful that I still even have a family, because after the way that I had reacted when I heard of my brother's accident, she had half a mind to cut me off and make sure that the rest of my relatives also stopped speaking to me permanently. I didn't understand what she was talking about, so she explained that apparently, she believed that my reaction had not been sad enough when I had learned of my brother's accident. I didn't even know what she had expected me to do, and she said that she had thought that when I had been told of my brother's accident, she had expected me to at least show some emotion. But I had just sounded very indifferent on the phone call. Obviously, no matter what our personal relations are, some news like that was definitely going to affect me, and it really has. As I had mentioned earlier, I do not wish it upon anybody, and that includes my family, in spite of our personal relationships. So I was definitely upset when I heard about his accident. Maybe that had not come through on the phone call because she couldn't see my face, but her reasons were just completely baseless and illogical. She even went on to say that the fact that I had not been there for Karen and my nephew and stepped up for them in my brother's place just showed how little I cared for the family. She was just making things up yet again to justify how they were acting, and I really think that my parents have started to lose their marbles because these things are completely weird and unnecessary. Anyway, after she started yelling at me, I lost even more interest in speaking to her, and I just decided to get inside my house and ask her to leave. So after some time, I unlocked the door to my house and went in while she was still yelling at me. She tried to follow me inside, but I shut the door in her face and told her to leave because I was seriously pissed and I did not want to interact with her anymore. She argued with me, but I told her that I would call the police, and that's when she finally left. But not before she cursed me out and said that I would face the consequences of this soon. I don't know what that means. I'm not even interested in getting to know what that means. I just want to relax and move on with my life. Update 4, hello. So it's been 26 days since the accident, and my family finally had some good news to share with everyone today. Obviously, they did not tell me about it personally. I got to know about it from my cousins. But the good news is that my brother is finally showing some signs of improvement. He's not in a coma anymore and is responding better. So that's a good sign. I really hope he's able to make it and that he just improves from this point onwards. Because the last month has been really stressful for everyone as a family, including me, in spite of the fact that I'm not even part of the family anymore and have been cast out long ago. But the way that my parents have been after my life in the past 26 days has really shown me that they are unhinged, and I think they were just taking out their frustration on me. After my last interaction with my mother, which I had talked about in my last update, I did not hear from her for a couple of days. But then my father called me up to berate me instead. He used a different number than the one that he usually uses, so I was not able to tell that it was him. And when I answered the call, he started yelling at me almost immediately so that I wouldn't even have the time to hang up. When I realized that it was him, he was very clever about it too. He tried to catch me off guard so that he would have the opportunity to scream at me. Instead of calling me at any normal time during the day, he decided to call me at 5 in the morning when he knew that I would be sleeping and I would have to wake up to answer his call and my brain would be all foggy. So, a couple of days after my interaction with my mother, my dad called me up at 5 in the morning. And after almost 3 phone calls, I finally answered the 4th one, and he immediately started yelling at me about what an ungrateful child I was and how he was wishing that I had never been born. He said that he was going to make sure the rest of the family never spoke to me again because I was a terrible human being for not even bothering to come to see my brother in the hospital when he was suffering so much and not being there for the family. After ranting for almost 5 minutes, he was the one who hung up because I was still trying to process everything that was going on, and by the time I was done with that, he had hung up the phone and blocked me. At the time when it had happened, it was not very funny. But now, I find it pretty funny, because my parents are just so desperate to make me seem like the bad guy and yell at me for arbitrary things. They are willing to go out of their way and to such extremes just for these reasons. I've already said that I believe that they were taking out their frustration on me. They just needed a scapegoat, and as usual, I had to be there for the family. But it's fine, because my father could not succeed in turning the rest of the family against me. Because they know that I'm not wrong, and they also know what happened 5 years ago. Anyway, now that my brother's condition is improving, I just hope that they get off my back and just focus on him. Update 5. Hello. It's so weird to come back here after almost 3 years. So much has happened since then, and it's mostly been for the better. I live in Germany now for work. I've been living here for the past year and a half, and I've also started seeing somebody. My girlfriend and I have been together for the past 8 months, and it's been blissful, really. And in the past 3 years, I've had absolutely zero contact with my family, and that's also been blissful, if I'm being honest. I've kept in touch with my relatives, the ones who are nice to me, so that's different. My brother is completely fine now. He survived the accident, and even though it took him a long time to come back to normal, he's doing okay now. Karen had approached me after my brother had started recovering to talk to me and apologize for everything that had happened in the past, but I just told her that at this point, an apology was just not required. She had approached me after everyone had come to know that I was moving to Germany for work and had visited me with a bouquet to apologize, and it was on behalf of her and my brother. My brother could not come to see me because he was too ashamed of the things that had happened 8 years back. But honestly, none of it mattered anymore, so I just told them that I forgave them and I didn't even care, and that part was true. I did not really care because I was moving on with my life onto better things. Since then, I've been here, and my parents don't speak to me anymore, and I'm really happy about that because I would not let that ever take place again under any circumstances. I'm finally happy now. Anyway, now that you guys are all caught up, I better get back to my life. Thank you so much to the people who showed me so much love and concern when I was posting here, and also continued to ask about me in the comments and stuff, even after I had stopped posting.